On a yearly basis, I handle not just thousands, but tens of thousands of watches. With this being the case, the bar for excellence is definitely elevated, as I'm fortunate enough to know many of the most talented artisans on the planet through this work. Now, I bring this up because I want to really drive home the magnitude when I state that the watches that we're going to be examining today are some of the most impressive that I have ever seen. They are from the Swiss independent brand Crayon. And I'm gonna warn you now, they're far from inexpensive, but they're some of the most creatively engineered watches out there, with the invention of complications that have never been done before, such as giving you the sunrise and sunset time throughout the year based off of a precise location of your choosing, and a mechanical planner complication giving you a complete month view of every day and date. So it's essential to remember that watchmaking is a pursuit rooted in long-standing traditions. With that, it really does say something about a watchmaker when they're able to create complications that have never existed. Crayon was founded in Neuchâtel, Switzerland in 2013 by Remy Maya as an engineering studio first making componentry for other brands. Now, Maya was born into a family of scientists. His father was a microtechnology engineer and his mother was an associate mathematics professor. Being surrounded by parents in advanced STEM fields, he fell in love with the intersection of art with technology in watch movements, graduating as a micromechanical engineer from the Applied Sciences University of Lac, Switzerland. Soon after Crayon's founding, a name derived from the French word for pencil, the brand introduced the Everywhere in 2017. So the Everywhere was a true original with a complication designed to show the sunrise and sunset times anywhere in the world given the latitude, longitude, and time zone of your chosen location. Remy was inspired to create the complication as a fan of freediving and snorkeling, traveling to various far-flung locales throughout the world. While waiting for the sun to rise on one such trip, Maya dreamed of the idea of the complication, noting that nature is at its most active during sunrise and sunset. The groundbreaking universal sunrise-sunset movement, the Caliber USS, was the result. By adjusting the latitude, converting true solar time to mean solar time, factoring in longitude, time zone, and daylight saving time, the Everywhere can display the exact sunrise and sunset times of any location. The Everywhere features a jaw-dropping 595 components and earned 3 separate patents, including the adjustable cams that allow location setting via the crown and pusher. The watch was a marvel of microengineering, and the watch community also agreed with that, awarding the Everywhere Horizon the Innovation Prize at the 2018 GPHG. This high honor is a great feat regardless of circumstance, but considering this watch is Maya's first serial produced watch line, it is basically the horological equivalent of winning a Grammy for your first studio produced album. That said, the Everywhere's complexity came with a lofty price tag over $500,000. So in 2022, Remy set out to develop a simpler version of the Everywhere known as the Anywhere, which resulted in another GPHG prize, this time for the calendar and astronomy category. This white gold version with a striking blue dial takes the innovation and creativity of the Everywhere and packages it in a simplified, wearable, and easy to read format. At first glance, the dial doesn't appear to be that out of the ordinary, with centrally mounted hour and minute hands, but its relative simplicity is deceptive. To explain how it works, let's call out a few features on the front. Nestled at 6 o'clock is the two-handed calendar subdial that shows the days and months throughout the year. At the far outskirts is a 24-hour track that works with the ring nestled just outside the central dial, exhibiting a frosted and polished finished sun that is connected to the indication of the time on a 24-hour scale, along with a split ring of light blue and midnight blue beneath. The sun will pace around with the passing hours of the day, which is undoubtedly cool, but it's this colored chasm underneath that houses the real show-stopping feature. At the time of purchasing this watch, you as a buyer can select a location where you want the watch to be coordinated with, allowing the Anywhere to display the sunrise and sunset times for that precise location throughout the year. For the model that was shot here, it is specifically timed to showcase the sunrise and sunset times in Geneva, Switzerland, just as a reference. Say it is the summer solstice in June when daylight hours are long. You will see that the light blue disc will show that the sun rises at roughly 5 a.m. Now let's pull the crown to adjust the calendar to the winter solstice. As we start to pace through the months, you will see the gradual shift where the nighttime disc becomes larger, indicating the shorter daylight hours hours, with the sunrise happening around 7:30 a.m. and sunset just before 5 p.m. The feature is remarkable to see in action, and it becomes even more impressive when you understand how it actually works. When we flip the watch around, we see the finely decorated C030 movement comprising a staggering 430 components. There are what the brand calls crayon waves on the bridges. You have the hand finish anglage at the edges with polished sinks for the jewels and screws. Furthermore, the bridge architecture situated above the movement gear train and barrel mirrors the Neuchâtel coastline, the home of Crayon's workshop. In fact, that large jewel at the center of the movement for the second wheel pivot is going to be the more precise location of where exactly this watch is being constructed on the shoreline. A neat Easter egg for those in the know. The free-sprung balance and the general setup for the watch at the north side of the case are conventional in structure despite the exceptional finishing. It's the bottom half of the movement, though, that demonstrates how the sunrise and sunset are handled. So the heart of the sunrise and sunset mechanism is a cam, which rotates once per year, pushing up against the U-shaped sliding racks, which drive the sunrise and sunset racks, in turn driving the sunrise and sunset pinions, which then will assist in demonstrating the proper sunrise and sunset time on the dial side. By adjusting the cam with the lateral micrometer screw, the watchmaker is able to set the latitude. 2 screws, one for sunrise and one for sunset, are used to adjust the longitude, which is essential for setting the exact sunrise and sunset times for the specific location. Remy with this design was also clever enough to do an equation of time conversion that factors in that a day on Earth is not always perfectly 24 hours as we record it. Now, this watch does differ from the Everywhere in a variety of ways, but a couple of those also being factored into its usability. One will be that it does not factor in daylight saving time, and in order to change the calibrated location, a watchmaker will actually need to do the adjustment, but it can be easily done if you do send it back in. Despite this is easily one of my favorite serial produced watches on the market today, with creativity that absolutely jumps off the scale. What further impressed me about Crayon, though, and why I love these watches, especially the Anywhere, is that the ingenuity of engineering of a novel complication didn't get in the way of this being a wearable object. The dial is attractive, and the dimensions mirror a time-only dress watch more than an ultra-complicated piece, with more components in the movement than Lange's L951 chronograph movement. The Anywhere has a 39mm white gold case with a height just around 10mm with a lug-to-lug of 45.5mm. I've always liked when watchmakers are just pushing some daring boundaries with some of these different mechanical feats that they're going after, but when rubber meets the road, a watch still needs to be easily worn, and I find the Anywhere passes this with flying colors. And now we come to the latest from the brand, the Anyday, which positions itself as the world's first mechanical agenda watch. Introduced in 2025, the Anyday's notable function is the ability to see the day and date for an entire month. For example, you can glance at your wrist and know the date for next Tuesday, or see what day of the week the 15th is. And while this complication is simpler than the sunrise and sunset indications of the Everywhere and Anywhere, the Anyday's caliber C032 is a wonder in its own right and is as beautiful as anything in Crayon's portfolio. Within the movement, there are 2 snail cams, one that builds up energy every 24 hours to advance each day at midnight with the drop, and a larger cam that moves the day's disc forward. The first cam releases its accumulated energy precisely at midnight, advancing the date forward in 1/1000th of a second. Another notable feature is that this can actually still be adjusted backwards, so nice to see that, and there's some fail-safes so that it will not break the movement as well if you did try to quick change that. Although it would be more convenient if this had a calendar function to limit the number of manual corrections per year, the day-to-day usability is one of the most practical complications you will encounter. If you are like me, booking meetings or recalling plans for future dates is a constant activity, and having a resource to show the days with the corresponding dates is incredibly useful. The dial is mildly simpler than the previous Anywhere, showcasing the central minute and hour hands with a CNC finished central plate showing the motif of Crayon's stylized Y repeated pattern. Just outside the central dial is an outer perimeter with the radial displaying numerals for 1 to 31, with 4 dots sitting at the bottom portion of the dial. When looking down, you will notice that the numerals will show a pattern of 5 consecutive in blue and following with 2 in white. What this demonstrates is the cycle of the day of the week, with the blue marked days marking weekdays and the white days marking the weekend. As you can likely infer, the last of the blue before the white numerals would be Friday, with the first white numeral being Saturday, and then the second Sunday, with the start of another series of blue numerals indicating the start of the weekdays again. A crescent indicator above attached to the central body rotates around to show the day of the month. Both the cycle of numerals and the crescent day date indication can be adjusted, with the latter of the two being handled when rotating the crown clockwise at the first pulled out position, and the weekly day shift happening when rotating counterclockwise. One other important factor to consider is the 4 dots at the bottom. This is a peek into the first 4 days of the coming month, so you have a visibility to preview what is ahead. The manually wound 46 jewel movement runs at 3 Hertz, has a reserve of 72 hours, and is made up of 378 components, all while offering the same hot horology levels of finish as its siblings, with gorgeous wave decoration and beautifully polished edges, still mirroring that Neuchâtel coastline. The white gold Anyday wears as easily as the Anywhere thanks to that 39mm case diameter, getting a 45.5mm lug to lug, and a case height of 10mm. So the same idea about these actually wearing like watches remains. So there's not just one reason why I love watches. There are many factors that have contributed to this being a passion of mine. So I can't pinpoint my passion for watches down to a single thing. It has many factors that have influenced this idea and built this passion of mine. Style, function, design, creativity, and build quality are all parts of the package, but as you ascend in price, some of this can go awry, as the appeal caters more to conspicuous flash of wealth than the characteristics of a watch that I would aspire to own or appreciate. These crayon watches are expensive, costing over $100,000, and they produce fewer than 50 watches in total each year. In other words, they are not pieces most of us will be able to add to our collections. However, this was a brand that struck me as soon as I was aware of them a few years ago, and I wanted to just dive in a little bit deeper and showcase them on this channel. When I met with Remy, the founder of this company, on my last trip to Geneva for Watches and Wonders, I met him off the beaten path in a lobby at a hotel after I asked a mutual friend to introduce us. It was only my second time handling the Anywhere in person, and was the first time I was able to see his latest Anyday. He brought his creations in a nondescript canvas bag, just pulling them out one by one, giving me a demo of how they worked. In this short hour meeting, I walked away inspired by the man's creativity, his pursuit of trying new things, and applying his brilliant talents to the craft that I appreciate. Creativity is a muscle, and with the passing of time and the constant reminder of what is normal or how things are, it can lead to atrophy, keeping us from new ideas and making it harder for us to rediscover the untainted possibilities of a free mind. Remy's fusion of creative exploration through a scientific-like process in his engineering is worthy of praise.
J'appelle Crayon.
C'est Rémi Maillat qui est le fondateur de Crayon, qui monte sur scène. Rémi Maillat.
He is one of the most impressive minds and watch creators currently in the game. And ever since I learned how one of his watches was able to operate, and in the last few weeks was able to learn even more about how they operate, I've been able to show and explain this to others, but especially in the past few weeks, taking this off my wrist, showing it to somebody else. There's this childlike wonder that is created when you show something that is ultimately creative and different, it's unique, and mesmerizing. I believe when a watch can create this sense of wonder and also having us asking questions of, wow, how did he do that? That is when a watch succeeds. And I think in the case of Remy, what I love about this is these watches really just inspire me. They inspire creativity, they inspire asking questions of why when it's not required. And yes, they are expensive. I'm talking about an object here that is not needed in today's world. But I think we do need people that are pushing ideas and are pushing to try to express something differently. This is more of an artistic stroke than it is anything else. But for that, I really commend these watches, and it was an absolute joy to spend some time with them, and I hope you guys enjoyed taking a peek at them with me. But all right, guys, that is the video here today. This is definitely a genre of watch that I know is not gonna be for everybody, but I was really passionate about these and I wanted to share them. I don't know if they're gonna land with everybody. I don't expect this video to have the most views of any video on this channel, but just was personally inspired by this brand and really wanted to allow more of a spotlight to be shown on them just because I really think they are cool. Also, if you guys want us to do more independent watch coverage, leave some comments down below. Are there other brands like this you'd like us to look at? Any encouragement there would be greatly appreciated, because really what drives this channel more than anything is providing information for you guys and what you want to see. So if enough people want more of these deep dives and interesting watches like this, leave some comments down below, give this video a thumbs up. Also, please do check out TeddyBaldassarre.com. TeddyBaldassarre.com is an authorized dealer for over 35 brands. Every purchase from our website comes with quick and fast fulfillment, dedicated customer support, and a full factory warranty for all the products that we offer. In addition, how we're able to keep all this content going on the channel is through selling watches. So if you are in the market for a watch, whether online or in store at our boutique in Cleveland, Ohio, we'd absolutely love to have your business. Allow us to keep doing what we're doing here. We love what we do. But guys, thank you again so much for watching. Be well, and I will see you all very soon.